On occasions like this that we get opportunities to test our knowledge and understanding. We look forward to getting exposure about what the best brains think about the various industrial sectors and thus enlighten us with their experience. Now, I would like to call upon the dais Rajyoti to continue.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to introduce Mr. Gauri Kumar Rath, sir. He is the Senior Program Manager at SAP Projects and Program Management at Shell. He is highly qualified and has 19 years of experience in IT delivery, program management, and SAP consulting. Currently, he is managing strategic SAP-enabled digital transformation programs in supply chain and analytics for Shell downstream business. He has worked with clients like Toyota, Hershey's, Cisco Foods, Philips, Gillette, Apple, Ace Hardware, and many more. So, I would now request you to address the gathering.
Okay, yeah, thank you. I mean, thanks for giving me this opportunity to interact with the students. Uh, I hope you can all hear me, right? You all can hear me, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I want to share one presentation which I have prepared. Hope that is okay with you.
Yes, sir.
So just confirm I'm sharing. Can you see the presentation? You can? No, can you see the presentation which I'm sharing?
Yes, sir, it is perfectly clear. But, sir, before you start, can I just ask you something?
Yes,
Sir, this presentation, your session is going to be live streamed on YouTube. Do you have a problem with that?
no
It,
problems. Absolutely.
right, sir. You can start, sir. Thank you very much.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I would first like to thank IJT Sarang and the Training and Placement Shell. I mean, for providing this valuable opportunity. This is a very good opportunity to interact with the students. I'm going to share some of my experience and I will give some advice from my experience over last 20 years. So hopefully that will be useful for the students and they can use it after passing out from the college. So I hope you all can see the presentation. So I'm going to the next slide. So this is how we will, continue the discussion. So first I will introduce myself formally, and after that I am going to talk about what are the career choices as an engineer, because the engineering, uh, you know, uh, the engineers are also graduates. So there are a lot of career options currently available in the market. So what career choices one engineering student has, I'm going to talk about it. And then I'm going to talk about the options which is available in private sector. I'll give you an overview of oil and gas industry because currently I'm working in oil and gas industry. And then also I'm going to talk about the latest trends in IT industries and what are the career options of an engineering graduate in the IT industry. And then at the end, we can have questions and answers. So if somebody has any clarifications or any questions, then I can address them. So any doubts, anyone has or any particular expectation, then you can tell me now. Otherwise, I will just continue.
So you can continue.
Thank you. So yeah, introduction. So currently I'm working as a senior program manager in the IT engineering department in Shell India Markets Private Limited. So I passed out mechanical engineering in the year 1998 from not from a college very long distance from you, the College of Engineering and Technology Bhubaneswar. I'm sure all of you would have aware about that college. And after that, I for 2 years I worked in the Tata Refractories Limited. I know Tata Refractories Limited has also come to campus into IGIT Sarang as well. So there I worked as a mechanical engineer on the floor and worked in various streams. I went to Tata Steel also for some time in deputation, and then did my full-time MBA from IIT Kharagpur, mainly in basically software and also operations, so dual specialization. And after that, worked in many companies, like worked in Shell, worked in Philips. I'm sorry about this background. Somebody is there at the door. No worries. So worked in many companies. So my 2 years of manufacturing experience has actually really helped me in the in my career in the IT industry as well. So worked in several companies like IBM, Infosys, Philips, a lot of companies, and worked in different geographies as well, like India, US, in a lot of countries in Europe. So my domain expertise is mainly oil and gas, CPG, consumer goods, and in manufacturing, like Apple and Philips, all these companies. I was working in manufacturing. So that's introduction of myself. Mm, okay. So what I'm going to talk is about the career options as an engineer. So I was just thinking that what a engineering graduate can do after passing out from college. So as you can see, I mean, obviously, one of the thing is education. So he can continue his education after engineering. So he can do his MTech, he can do his MBA, he can, go for GRE. GRE, if you want to do MS in, US universities or other international universities, then you have to appear for, GRE, and then you can also do PhD. So maybe some of you may not know, so even after engineering, if your scores are good and if you really have done some good research work during your college time, you can directly get enrolled in PhD also in some of the universities. Okay, so they will tell you to do some subjects. I mean from MBA, but you can directly get the PhD degree after your engineering. You do not have to do a master's. So for an example, even XIMB also provides that kind of opportunity for the engineering students. But they will see your academic credentials and they will see that okay, if you have an particular good topic where you want to continue your PhD. You can also do law. So law means, yeah, I will just give you a very quick thing. So nowadays, a lot of these companies, this IP infringement and all those things appears. So if there is a normal lawyer, then it is very difficult for him to understand the nuances of engineering where there is IP infringement or somebody is applying for IP and all that. So if an engineer also does masters in law after passing engineering, they also have a very good career. So that also some people can consider, and there are a lot of others. So I mean, obviously, because every engineering graduate is a normal graduate, you can go for civil services, you can go for so many things. And then entrepreneurship. So nowadays, earlier it used to be very, very difficult to really create your own company, like in India or abroad or anywhere. But nowadays, our government has really, made it, really very, very simple and provided a lot of good platforms. And you can actually, connect to a lot of investors and you can talk to mentors. So even entrepreneurship is also a good option these days. So there is a lot of risk involved in entrepreneurship, but the returns are also very high. And then jobs in private and public sectors. So as you know, private sectors like, Indian private sectors like Reliance, Tata, a lot of companies are there, Raymond's. So there you can, work as an engineer. And there are public sectors like, our PSUs where NTPC, NALCO, and Shell, all these companies also you can, join. Then teaching as a profession, which I don't want to talk more. Obviously, you are already interacting with your professors day in and day out. So that's also a excellent career choice which you can choose. You can do your MTech, PhD, and you can teach in an engineering college, or you can do your MBA, PhD, and all that, and you can even take teaching as a profession in management colleges as well. Then choices in IT and BPO sector. So because I have been working for a very long time in IT services, and I also have some idea about the BPO sector, I'm going to talk about the choices in IT and BPO sector. And then you also have choice for working in banks, and there are a lot of other options. So there are many people like if you're a computer engineer, then you can obviously, there is a lot of demand in banks. And even if you are not an, you are doing mechanical, electrical and all, you can always, join as a business analyst, and a lot of banking jobs are also available. So these are actually broad career options which I could think of, one engineering graduate can choose from. So I'm going to talk little about entrepreneurship. So I'm not an entrepreneur, but I have some idea, and I was just reading through some journals, and also some of my friends are entrepreneurs. So that is how I know something about entrepreneurship. So because the topic is education and entrepreneurship, so I just thought to talk briefly about the entrepreneurship as well. So if someone really wants to, start his startup or start his own company, so where, he doesn't want to do a job for others, but he want to create jobs for people. So that's really a, great career choice, I would say. And as I said, nowadays our government of India is also providing, a lot of basically catalysts, or they are enabling all the people who wants to really start in startup or start their own company. So so I have mentioned about Startup India initiative. So that's launched in 2016, and it has, this initiative has rolled out several programs, and the objective is to support the entrepreneurs, and then again building a very robust ecosystem. So I have actually put the references. So I don't want to go in really a lot of detail because we have only 1 hour. But I have given this, websites www.startupindia.gov.in. You can go there, and you can find lot. I mean, step by step approach that how to create a startup, and where to go to, how can get the funding, so many things. So all you need is actually a good noble idea, which can be commercially be utilized to provide that service or the product to everyone, and then it should be commercially viable as well. So, and there is also this www.entrepreneur.com. So you can go through these websites, and you can really get excellent idea. I mean, how we can open a company, and what all forums we should join, and you can basically get a immediate immediate ramp up basically. So if you see just startup in numbers, so what is a startup? I mean, you would have been hearing this term. I mean, in the newspapers, and from your friends, and from many people, that startup. So what is this startup? So this startup actually refers to a company basically in the first stages of operations. So basically in the initial 3 to 5 years, we call a company a startup. After that, it is no more a startup. And then obviously you have an idea, and then you develop a product or service which has a demand in the market. Okay, so basically that is a startup, and you get your funding from basically in the initial stages, you get it from your either from your own funds, your family and friends, or some angel investors. And then when it gets matured, then you have there are investors who will be ready to fund your company. So uh, so that is how a startup is being funded. So some quick numbers. So if you see, there are almost 41,000 numbers. This is like I would say little old, 1.5 years old data. But there are other mm, you know uh, basically additional startups as well, which has got created after this, after in last 1.5 years. So they are actually spread across 590 districts, and I don't want to go through the entire slide, but what I want to say is this also provides a significant career option. So if you have a novel idea, and then you can go through these websites, talk to some of the mentors. I mean, all the detail address, everything is there in the in those websites, and then obviously you can start your startup journey. Only thing is, obviously that in startup there is a lot of risks involved. So but so as well the returns. So going to the next one, if you see resources, so if you go to that website, you can see all these resources for building startups. So what are the different areas in which you can actually create a startup, and how you can connect with different incubators, and then how you can connect with the government, and then all those different things you can find from that website. I don't want to talk more about entrepreneurship because I myself is not an entrepreneur, so I have not really experienced that. So first-hand experience I cannot tell, but only I can talk theoretically. So this is actually something, about funding for startups. So you have an idea. Now you want to, but you are little, skeptical that I have an idea, but whether, you need a lot of money for, running your own company. So where do you get those funds from? So if you see, these are the different stages through which the startup goes, and in those stages, how you can get your money for creating or creating or running your own startup. So first stage is pre-seed. So pre-seed is, what is a seed funding? So during the ideation phase, basically we call it, we need some money. So and during that time nobody will fund you because you do not have an concrete idea, you do not have a complete commercial proposal. That time you have to use your own fund, maybe some sources like your family, friends, only they can, who trust in you, they can fund you. And during the seed stage means already you have an idea, you have a very good proposal, you have already taken all the market trends for that product and all that, and you are ready to convince the investor that okay, how this idea can really be converted into a really commercial viable product. So that time you can go to angel investors, we call it. Angel investors means who will help you during that time, who trust in you, who will take a leap of faith, and they will fund your startup. So that is the seed stage. After that, you would have read in a lot of newspapers, if you are reading. So you can see Series A funding, Series BC funding. In LinkedIn, you can see that we got this Series BC funding. So what all it means? So Series A funding is, when the product or service is just getting, the initial market traction. The products or services just started to be getting sold. So that time, there are a lot of, companies who will, fund you. I mean, banks are also ready to fund you. That is called Series A funding. Now, what is Series B and C funding? So when already you have acquired, a lot of customers, and it is already, you are having a good track record. Year by year, the revenue is rapidly increasing. At that time, you can, go for Series B and C funding. And Series B funding amounts are very high. So they will fund you to run your operations and, for certain years, and they will have a contract with you. And at the end, if your company is really successful, everybody knows about it, you can go for a IPO, the primary markets, to the stock exchange, and you can, really take money from the market, and you can, take your startup to the next stage. So hope this is useful. So okay. So I think that's all I wanted to talk about, entrepreneurship and funding and all that. So maybe at the end we can discuss a little about that. So next I'm going to talk about, basically career options or jobs in private and public sectors. Okay, private sectors, as I already said, there are Indian private sectors companies like this Reliance, Raymond, or companies like Marico Industries. A lot of companies are there, and obviously PSUs are like Steel Authority, VHL, Nalco. I mean, obviously Sarang is very close to Nalco, NTPC, and all. So you would be knowing about that. So now there is a third thing as well, MNCs. So there are a lot of MNCs which has actually set up shops in India, like companies like Philips, Shell. You have big banks like Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and then Royal Bank of Scotland. So many companies. Even Apple has also office in India. So that is also a really big, you know, I would say, uh, job market for all the engineering graduates. So that also I want to focus a little bit more in my later slides. But because I'm working in Shell, I'm going to talk about basically the oil and gas industry in a very nutshell. Okay, so if you see in India also there are a lot of oil and gas companies which operates, government companies like our Indian Oil Corporation, BPCL, and then we have IOCL, and then private players or MNCs like ExxonMobil, Shell. A lot of companies are also operating in India. So going to talk and that is also a very, interesting sector if somebody is really passionate about energy conservation and all that. So then, and nowadays new energy is a, a big subject because of this, climatic conditions and all that. Everybody wants to do, energy conservation. So people want to go to cleaner energies. You know what is a cleaner energy? So one is actually a fossil waste energy, which we call, our oil, or LPG and LNG, all those gases. Those are actually fossil waste energy. But we have new energy like our wind power, or all these even electricity is also actually cleaner energy because we do not do a lot of pollution. So now, a lot of traction is happening, and a lot of, Tesla is, such a famous company. So if you see, they are also, what they have done, they have just used a newer type of energy to run the automobiles, and they are such a famous company these days. So that is also a very, very interesting sector, and that is going to be the market. What I'm saying is, transition is going rapidly in India and in many other countries. So definitely a lot of jobs are also going to be available in that particular area. So I will just give you a very quick overview on the oil and gas. So if you see, oil and gas has been basically three major sections, you would say. So one is upstream, and another is midstream and downstream. So what is upstream, midstream, and downstream? So if you are, applying for a company, or if you want to develop interest in that, so you should know all this terminology, at least on a high level. So as you know, what does a vertically integrated oil and gas company does? So what it does is, it basically finds the oil fields like Nigeria, Brunei, even Mexico, and so many, there are different places where you have a lot of oil reservoirs are there. So these oil companies, go and do their research, try to see where there is oil, okay, and then using various technologies, they try to basically explore that oil, and after that they basically transport it to their refineries, okay, and in the refinery they do distillation of oil, and then you have petrol, diesel, and you have all these gases, everything you will get while doing the distillation. And once it is actually refined, you have the petrol commercially usable petrol, and diesel and all that. Then you further transport it to all these retail outlets, right? And there you fill the basically your automobiles, or you directly transport it to the airports as well to fill the our aircraft carriers and all that. So you all can see my slide, right? So that is, I mean, the process which I just said, so that is only explained here. So the upstream is actually, the process of doing research in the oil fields, and basically locating exactly where the oil is located. So sometimes it takes almost 10 years to locate, where there is oil. And sometimes it happens that after 7 or 8 years, you find that, okay, the amount of oil is very less, and we have to really scrap the project, and we have to move out of there. So that is really a significant, cost involved in that. That's why you see small companies are not there in this oil and gas business. Only big companies where there is a lot of funding, and they are too much capital, they only can do all this upstream business. Midstream is basically transporting from the all the crude oil, and taking it to the refineries, and after that taking it to other retailer stations and all that. So that is called midstream, which comes between upstream and downstream. And downstream is basically doing the refining, and taking all this final product like diesel and petrol to all the retail outlets, and selling it obviously with a profit. So that is actually called downstream business. So downstream is actually having maximum choices for engineers, because uh, upstream needs a very specialized skill, maybe petroleum engineer, those ISM Dhanbad and all those. Obviously you have need for mechanical, electrical, even civil, because you when you create a oil field, lot of this civil construction also is needed there. Oil wells, a lot of things actually you will have to build. So you have a requirement of actually and most people you will find are actually from the engineering stream in these companies. And apart from that, for sales marketing also they recruit engineers. If you see General Corporation or Shell, they also recruit engineers as a management trainee and directly induct them into doing the sales and marketing for lubricants and sales and marketing for petrol, diesel, and another thing also I would like to say, so these oil companies, they also have a significant business for they call it chemicals or petrochemicals. You have all these, polythene and ethylene, lot of, chemicals as well. So they deal with this manufacturing of chemicals and selling of chemicals as well. So that is in nutshell, how a oil and gas, a company operates, and that is also a, I mean, very good option. At least in India, public sectors you already know, and they are good paymasters as well. So nowadays there is little bit, I mean, the demand is little bit reduced, but still, if you see 80-90% of the vehicles still run on this, fossil fuels only. So there is still a lot of demand for, people in this industry. So I'm going to talk to you about my own company, Shell. So Shell is actually one of the largest companies of the world for oil and gas. So they have, all the business. Main businesses are like they are into upstream. They have actually licensed the oil fields for a very, longer duration in Canada, Brunei, a lot of oil fields in, this Saudi Arabia and all. So they have a lot of oil fields, and they do upstream operations. They, basically extract the crude oil, and then they have this integrated gas and new energies department which has formed. Basically they want to transition into the new energy segment. They want to be the largest electricity company in another 20-25 years. So slowly they're transitioning because there is a lot of pressure from all over the world for this pollution and all that, and to make decarbonization and all that. That's why many companies they're going for this they call it zero carbon goal. So even Shell is also trying that, and they are slowly getting into the new energy section. They have already bought a lot of these battery companies in Europe, and they are also investing in this wind power, and particularly gas is actually more cleaner energy than petrol and diesel. So they are also into downstream. You cannot see much retail outlets in India, but they have 67,000 retail outlets all over the world, and each of those retail outlets also have this, you can say small grocery store as well. One interesting, data I will provide. You cannot guess that which company or which store sells the maximum, Coke in the world. You will be surprised. That is actually Shell, because they have so many retail outlets, and they sell actually starting from Pepsi, Coke, and like small grocery products and all that. But they are heavily into this retail as well, and they are selling maximum, Coke in the world. You would be thinking that it should be a Walmart, or it should be like some grocery store and all that, but no. So what I'm trying to say is these oil and gas companies are also very big retailer companies as well. So that also create a significant opportunities for employment. And last is actually projects and technology. Obviously, you have a very big projects department and IT department in all these oil and gas companies, because nowadays, obviously you cannot run any business actually, without having a very good IT department. So obviously they have a big projects and technology department as well. So okay, about employment options, maybe in Shell. So Shell has a they call it a GIC, or a captive unit in Bangalore, Shell India Markets Private Limited. It has employed some 5,000 currently, but more and more jobs are actually getting outsourced from other countries of the world to Bangalore location. Obviously, because you have got good talent here, and obviously a bit cheaper from other countries as well. So, and actually they recently started hiring, I would say freshers, but normally they hire all experienced actually graduates because they have a smaller company and they wanted a quick ramp up. So that's why they hired initially all the experienced people, but slowly now they are even planning for the recruiting freshers as well. And what they're doing is they are actually providing, services to the entire world. So it's not that they're working only for Shell India, but they're providing their, project management, IT, and business operations services to all the units in the entire world. So, I mean, you can also find, I would say, internship options initially, and many of those if you are, uh, you know, doing basically internship, then it becomes easy to, get absorbed also in the company. So that's about oil and gas industry and some of the career options in that. So I'm trying to focus on areas where my expertise is there. Okay, obviously you have a lot of options, but I'm trying to go to those areas where I have worked or where I have knowledge. So that is where you can see I have covered this oil and gas first, and now I'm going to talk about this IT and BPO as a career option as well. So if you see, before liberalization in 1993, we had options of working only in these public sectors, or government of India or government of Orissa. If you see, that time actually it was a bit of a problem also. Some of the engineering graduates, they were not getting employed so easily after passing engineering. So either you get a job in the this SAIL, NALCO and all that, or you get a job in our state government or Indian government, or you do not get a job at all. But after this liberalization, you have seen a lot of MNCs have started opening their shops in India, and that is really a, I would say, blessing to all the engineering graduates, because they started getting a lot of job options through these MNC companies which has opened shops in India. So IT and BPO as a career option. So any engineering graduate can actually get into IT, or this business process outsourcing industry. I have given some broad areas where you can basically choose your career option depending your own interest. So if you see analytic skills, machine learning, and you have digital transformation, which is the recent buzzword. You have data science and mobile app development. You do not have to really become a computer engineer to do all these things. Maybe some fields are very specialized, like doing some very core coding and all those kind of things. But otherwise, I would say I think most of the most of these career options can be chosen by uh, different engineering graduates. Like even a mechanical, civil, or electrical engineering graduate can also get into IT and BPO industry and can do very well and become successful in his career. So what are the companies available? So you see this IBM, Accenture, Infosys, TCS, nobody, is unknown, or I mean, nobody is unaware about these companies. So everybody knows. And some people don't like coding, okay, and they think that, okay, I don't like coding, I don't like to do this programming. So from the hello world program only, they started hating coding. So they still think that, I mean, still, like, can I do my career in as a IT professional? I myself don't like coding so much, because I have learned little bit of coding while, like, I started in Fortran and C++ and all that. And then in doing while doing my MBA, learned bit of Java also. But I mean, really, I'm not an expert in those things. What I'm trying to come to a point is, there are a lot of other career options which is available in IT industry without doing coding. So mm, so you can also become a functional consultant. You can also become a business analyst. You can, also, sell the software, which is actually the people are making. You can, also work in the enabling departments. Like, you can work in the procurement of, hardware and software services. You can work in, basically managing the projects. So all these things which I said actually really don't need coding. Okay, so I started my career as a, because I have worked 2 years in this Tata Refractories Limited, understood actually how the sales work, how the operations works and all that. Then actually I got trained in ERP, SAP basically, they call in L&T Infotech, and then actually started working as a functional consultant, and then gradually moved into project management and program management and all that, and then finally currently driving a lot of programs, digital transformation programs and a lot of programs. So I really am not an expert in coding, but still I worked I would say 18 years in IT industry. So that is actually a message I wanted to leave it to many engineering graduates who doesn't like coding, still want to work in IT sector. So they are also welcome, and they can also do a very successful career in IT industry. Okay, so okay, now going to okay. So I have, everybody knows about this, Accenture, Infosys, TCS, and all that, and many, but there is also another sector which actually employs even more people than these IBM, Accenture, and Infosys. What are those? So that also you should know. Many people are not aware, because if you are in, sometimes, because a lot of these companies are mainly located in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi, and all those places. So I'm not sure if all of you are aware of that. So that's why I'm going to focus on those. That actually is called captive units. It's not like the captive units, captive power plant of Nalco. It's not that. It is captive units, or GICs they call it. So what are these GICs? So GICs is actually global in-house centers of all the MNC companies which is located in India. And you will be surprised, there are so many companies which have opened shops in India now. So you really don't have to go abroad to do really, work in all these MNCs, because they have opened their shops in India, and very high-end work is also happening in those companies. So that is also another, uh, you can say career option you can think to actually to pursue your career. So that's why I had given a quick overview of GICs in India. So if you see here, it is saying more than 1500 captives, but this is a bit old data. I think now it is already crossed 2000 captive units, and their concentration is high in mainly I would say Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, and all these places. And if you see, just look at this data, captives by headquarter location. So you have 78% North American companies which has actually opened shop in India where you can work, and you have Japanese companies, you have ROW is rest of world, and you see European 17% European GICs, they have also opened their centers, and they do conduct I would say walk-in interviews, and you can go to their website, apply in the intranet, and try to do some intensive there. So intensive is always a very easy part to get a job after college. So if you're getting a campus after the college, it is well and good. Even if you don't get a campus, so I mean, don't get disheartened. You can always prepare for your career options, and you can actually apply these companies. And I have seen if you try hard, definitely maybe it takes 3 months, 6 months, sometime. Definitely, we are going to get a job. So, what are these GICs? Which all companies? I've given some samples here. If you see, all these big names. If you see Fortune 500 companies, ABB, SAP, Microsoft, Symantec, Cisco. It's not only IT companies, but if you use Tesco, what is Tesco? Tesco is a retail company from London. Target is a retail company from US. Walmart again retail company from US. Volvo, Ford, Bosch, all these companies are automobile companies. And if you see this HSBC, Stanchart, JP Morgan Chase, all these are banks. So I would say they recruit almost, I mean, every year they recruit fresh engineering graduates. So that's what I want to, you know, I would like to leave that message. So there also you can, basically what you should do is go to their websites and see that what, those companies are doing, what is their business model, and what job roles they are recruiting for. And then you can, prepare for those job roles, like what all skills are needed, and there is lot of nowadays lot of trainings are available online. You don't have to really go to Bangalore or Hyderabad or somewhere to really learn any skill. But you can go to Coursera, and all these lot of websites are there where you can go and learn it yourself and get prepared, and then you will get absorbed. So so I think, yeah, that's in nutshell, I wanted to cover. So I have almost actually covered, I would say all my slides. So maybe I will talk little bit more about this ERP as a career option. So because I personally am a ERP consultant, so I would talk about it. So one of the very good option, is what you can say is a see, IT software development is one thing, but IT consulting is different. So there are two, types of consulting companies are there. One is a management consulting. If you have heard about Booz Allen Hamilton and Arthur D. Little, PwC and KPMG, so these are, you can see, management consulting companies. But many of these has also IT arms as well. So I mean, and they call it IT consulting. If you see Infosys, Wipro, they have a IT consulting wing as well. So what is consulting? You go to a client, then you see what are their pain points. Okay, obviously every company will have some or other pain points. One of the example is, like, suppose procurement. Now what they say is this procure to pay entire cycle takes a very long time. That can be a pain point. Now as a consultant, you go and basically study their process, and then you propose that, okay, you have to change your business process a bit, and then you can use some of the software products which can actually make your procure to pay cycle lesser than what you currently have. So this part doesn't involve any software development. So this is called consulting. Consulting means you are, talking to clients, understanding their requirements, and then providing a solution based on your own experience and knowledge. Okay, that is called consulting, and it is an excellent career, high-paying job. And even if you don't like software, also you can, do a, career in consulting. And in consulting, you have different things like, ERP consulting is also one very good, path. What is ERP? Enterprise Resource Operations, and uh, basically these integrated softwares, like suppose Shell as a company, right? They will have this integrated software which actually, integrates data from sales, data from procurement, data from production, and then any particular department wants that what is happening in the other side of the company, they can know from that. So what are the big or top companies in ERP? One is SAP, obviously very high market share. Another is Oracle. You have JD Edwards, PeopleSoft, and a lot of ERP companies are there. So I'll give you a quick example what ERP does. So suppose a salesperson is sitting in front of a client, and they will say that, okay, I want some 2 tons of steel in the month of May. So this sales manager, he wants to confirm or commit to that particular client whether how much actually really he can provide in the month of June. So if it is integrated software or the ERP software, he can directly log into the system. He can actually see that how much production is in the making in the shops, and then he can see how much stock is already available and how much stock is already you know uh, basically committed to other customers. He can do that report quickly, and he can quickly tell this guy that, okay, yes, I can provide out of 5 ton only 3 ton. But unless it is integrated, you cannot do this business operations so easily. Another example is, running this, creating this P&L report at the end of the year or at the end of the quarter, or this, trial balance and all those things. So these things actually becomes very easy if you have an integrated software. If you have different software throughout the company, then you really, it is very difficult to, get a, consolidated view out of that. So, so that is actually, and ERP, if you see, I would say 80% people who work as ERP consultants are engineers, because they understand this, industry well. They have at least a mindset of, understanding the operations and industry and all that. So many of these companies, they recruit engineers for this kind of, consulting positions. And nowadays, if you see latest trends in IT, you see cloud, cyber security, uh, and you would have heard this term digital transformation. Now, what is digital transformation? So nowadays, the internet is available everywhere, and um, and you also have a lot of mobile devices. So that actually, so getting a data has become very very easy. So many people have started using mobile. So suppose a retail company is there. Earlier, they used to go to different, reports and do a market research to know that what is the consumer behavior. But nowadays, what is happening? Everybody has a mobile. They know that which consumer is clicking on which product. So and you can, run analytics to create a lot of reports from that. And from that, you accurately can tell that what is the demand for this product going to be in the next year. At least, plus minus 10%, that level you can go. So if you are transforming a particular business to create a significant value by using this, latest digital technologies like cloud or, IoT, or you can say this analytics, then that is called actually digital transformation. What is digital? Digital means this cloud and all these, areas what I said. And transformation is what? Transformation is actually you are significantly changing the business process to create significant value for their customers, and also you are creating the value for the company itself. So that is actually called digital transformation. And slowly, if somebody is really doing a lot of course in digital transformation and really understanding it well, uh, I would say that at least getting a job in that field won't be very difficult. So I think I have not talked about this last slide. Okay, I've talked about it very briefly. Um, at least from Bangalore, I mean, which all companies I have seen, where they basically recruits our engineering graduates, I would say every year. I myself has worked in I would say two GICs. One is actually Philips. Philips has opened a their shop in Bangalore, and they provide their IT and BPO and all this. Not BPO unit is in Chennai, but they are providing IT services from Bangalore to entire Philips in the world. So they are worked for 3 years, and in Shell also currently I'm working. So Cisco also is there. So a lot of these companies are there, and Merck's has just opened a big center last year only, and Mercedes has a shop in Bangalore. So I would say that try to, apart from your engineering subjects, also try to improve your general knowledge. Try to go through different websites and podcasts and all that. Go through websites or internet sites of different companies and try to learn what is their plan and all that. And if you remain focused and also working on both your technical skills and soft skills, and then yeah, you have already cracked it, and you will have a very good option after passing out from college. With that, I will uh, I would say that I will stop talking, but if there are any questions and answers, you can either chat or you can talk to me. You come out of mute and talk to me, then I can provide answers to that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable words. It was a really informative session. Now, for the questions, we have selected some of the few questions from the audience.
Yes.
So, one of the students here asked that he wants to know the role of data science and machine learning in this sector, and why DS and MI are just selling like cupcakes right now.
What is the second one? Your second sentence, can you repeat, please?
Why data structure and ML, machine learning are just selling like cupcakes
Okay,
right now.
okay. So I myself is not a data scientist, but I have a fair amount of idea on data science. So see, as I said, everybody needs data. What is data? Which is which we are gathering from multiple basically machines or multiple users, like suppose you are buying a product, that also becomes a data. And maybe in the engineering industry terms, suppose there is a particular machine, a hydraulic press maybe, and there is a sensor which is attached to the hydraulic press, and if you see it, when it gets heated up, then it actually creates a signal and sends it to the control system which is attached to that hydraulic press, and then the maintenance engineer can see that, okay, already this hydraulic press is heated up, and then I have to do something. So data are different form of information. Basically structured information is structured data is called information, and we can derive lot of our decision making ability from this structured data. Okay, so nowadays you produce lot of data. Okay, because of this availability of mobile devices and also computers and availability of internet in various places. So when there is lot of data, then you really don't want to do forecasting based on your just knowledge or judgment, and you want to take really data and simulate it, and then come to a decision point. Now, what is this AI and ML and data science? So everyone companies want to look for obviously one is they want to know that which all sector is going to give me profit. Okay, or which all sectors we should invest. So that is one of the examples, and they want to know gather actually a lot of data, and data is also there. So see, every day you click so many pictures, that is also actually a data, visual form of data. Now you have a lot of data, but it is very difficult for a person to manually process it and really create a decision, or create a report, or create a judgment out of it. Now data scientists, what they do, basically they massage the data. Basically they what they do is they gather the data from different sources. They have different algorithms using which they actually create the models, and using those models they accurately actually they remove all the basically garbage from the data, and they actually clean it up, and finally they give you actually particular trends, or they give you good forecasting models through which you can accurately take your decisions. So that is why, because the data is more, and companies also want to take intelligent decisions, because the business is changing very fast. That is why there is a lot of demand for this data scientists. So you can either do a course online, or you can actually, after your engineering, you can join in triple IT, or our Institute of Indian Statistical Institute, Calcutta. So this actually places you can learn about this data science and become a data scientist. And obviously, as I said, uh, AI, ML, I don't want to, talk a lot of detail in that. What is machine learning? Machine learning is what happens. Actually uh, if you have put a particular program, the machines, start to learn the trend, and depending on, is the trend, they also try to adjust themselves. That is why they have their own brain. And that is why this, machine learning has evolved. Basically, suppose you see suppose in a store like Walmart, some 100 consumers come daily. Okay, so, and I mean and the next day some 150 consumers come, and they want to track the data of entire 1 month, and they want to see that which month actually our consumers inflow is higher. So they put different algorithms to create a lot of reports. But if you are using machine learning and deep learning and all that, so they can accurately basically very intelligently they run their algorithms to understand this consumer inflow pattern, and they can predict exactly that, okay, next year winter how many consumers are going to visit the store. So accordingly they can prepare their product racks and all those things. So yeah, I mean, that is what actually I know about that. Hopefully I answered to some extent. Is it okay?
Yes, sir, it's perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
very much for your answer. Now, for the second question, how can one entrepreneur be resilient to economic changes post a sudden scenario like COVID or an economic depression?
Sorry, can you repeat, please?
Sure, sir. How can one entrepreneur be resilient to economic changes post a sudden scenario like COVID or an economic depression?
Okay, okay, I got it, got it. Okay, so yes, so COVID has obviously, killed a lot of startups because it has killed opportunities, because obviously many people didn't, you know, uh, run their business or shops are stopped. So what I could see is one of my friend is also entrepreneur. So earlier we used to get a lot of parts from China, and now if you see that with COVID, it's becoming very difficult to, get those parts from China. So you have two options. Either one option is either just stop your startup and do something else, or but what this particular person has done that he did research on those particular parts which we are actually importing from China, and now what they are doing is started to really make those parts in-house. Obviously it took a lot of efforts, but at the end of the day he could successfully build some of those parts, and now obviously the demand for these parts is even higher in India because you're not getting the parts from China. So what I'm trying to say is you try to gather a lot of information and try to see what are the alternative channels are existing for your startups. Like a lot of these restaurants and a lot of businesses have stopped, but they have started doing cloud kitchen and serving to your doors and all that. So with the changing times, you have to see that what are the choices you have, and utilize your sources, and basically go to a related field, like as I said, physical restaurant to a cloud kitchen, something like that. Or like IT industry, if you see, like Infosys or TCS haven't stopped their shops. What they have done, they have actually sent the laptops and desktop to different people, and people are working. So currently, I'm working from here, Berhampur in Orissa. Okay, people are doing that. So really, business operations haven't stopped. So that is what, as an entrepreneur, you gather your information, see that what related fields are there, which you can, diverse a little and utilize your existing resources and still make a profitable model. So that's what I can, at least tell.
For the last question, what does it take to lead a company, to lead a team in a company?
Okay, so yeah, so there are a lot of things, obviously. So I started as a consultant, and for almost last 10 years, I am leading a team of, engineers, architects, and all. I would say, basically, it is, you obviously need technical skills are in the field which, in which you are operating, but more than that, you need your soft skills like, I would say, empathy. Empathy means you have to always put your feet in the in those team members' shoes. So suppose he's not able to perform, or he's not able to do a particular task. Don't just come to a conclusion that he's inefficient or anything. Just try to see that what problem maybe he needs a little bit of more training, or maybe the job which you have given, he's a is not enough motivating for him. So empathy is, I would say, a big characteristic which you should have. And another is, I would say, communication. So you should actually be very transparent and communicate with your team members. So if something is getting changed, or business expectations are getting changed, communicate transparently to your team members. Even if whatever problems are there, communicate it transparently to your team members. And then also you be approachable so that they can also tell their problems to you. So then the trust improves between both the leader and the team member, and ultimately you can achieve the common goal for which you all are working. So there are a lot of additional things, but these are the top two things which actually definitely you should work upon, or you should have to become a good leader.
Your answer, and that is it for the questions. It was wonderful having you among us, and we really look forward for more such sessions with you.
Thank you very much, and I wish all the students from IGIT a very successful career. And thank you
Thank
for
you, sir.
providing me this opportunity. Have a good day.
Have a good day, you too, sir.